We bout to get it in. Turn it up, roll the blunt, grab your weed pen. Stop walking on you haters. We like to do it big. All we do is win. It is what it is. We bout to get it in. Turn it up, roll the blunt, grab your weed pen. Stop walking on you haters. We like to do it big. All we do is win. It is what it is. So what they talking about? I always stay smoking. All the channels do my shock at third. I always open. On the West Coast now, we always gooey. Bitches always choosy. What you talking about? I race on the south while I now live my life like a man. Burning on that. When it comes to me and I don't chase anything, including pussy. That left to the shit that should be. There's nothing slick till the kid on oil and I ain't kill a pussy. Feeling these on my back, no. For the nigga that I'm burning. We bout to get it in. Turn it up, roll the blunt, grab your weed pen. Stop walking on you haters. We like to do it big. All we do is win. It is what it is. We bout to get it in. Turn it up, roll the blunt, grab your weed pen. Stop walking on you haters. We like to do it big. All we do is win. It is what it is.
I am immortal, I'm ageless. Fly paranormal on spaceships. Can't put this on your wish list. I'm tantric to keep fitness. All hail the Prince Machiavelli. I'm the pharaoh, the mummy of Seti. It's a ghost, no, you thought it was buried. I hear up on the Isles of Canary. In Valhalla, the Krana Shambhala. I speak in reverse with the holy Kabbalahs. And then I traverse me to stop at Patala. I rise from the earth and it up in the bottom. The prince, so you know what I meant. I said defy, you can't circumvent. Running your mouth, but you missing the jits. Talk me in circles, I flatten your disc. Poetic structure, I got me a sculpture. Lyrics get hot, they produce supernovas. Went to the Kaaba, I guess on the Volva. Then I realized, put the flame to the doja. Cast up the magic that's trapped in your attic. It's automatic, the lingam, I'm haddock. Feeling the static, the modern day backers. Roll with the witches, they keeping it savage. Check out the thesis of clever uniqueness. Got masterpieces surrounded by genius. They call them Pan, but I'm Dionysus. I just prefer that you keep it a secret. Back in the day, I would call myself Amethyst. Switch out the flow, now I'm one with the Emperor. Steady my motion, I'm coasting, I'm glamorous. Doing the lotus, the woods, and the various.
We bout to get it in. Break it up, turn it up, roll the blunt, grab your weed pen. Stop walking on you haters. We bout to do it big. All we do is win. It is what it is. We bout to get it in. Break it up, turn it up, roll the blunt, grab your weed.
93. We back in this bitch once again. Appreciate everybody for giving me your time. What's up? See you, Joshua, 93. What's up, Mary? What's up, Dank Wizard? I appreciate everybody for tuning in, as always. Right? We're going to talk about some serious things, as usual. Let me turn this down a little bit. All right, we back in this bitch. Let me put on some background music. And we'll get straight to it. Give me 1 second. Let's see what we can play. Let's get straight to it. All right. We're almost in the devil's hour or the witching hour, whichever one you want to call it. Give me a second here. Yeah, sure. You put this on. Why not? Let's speed it up a bit. All right. So let me go ahead and put this on. Let's see if y'all can see that. There we go. So let me give you the mathematics here. Ain't gotta worry about seeing my face for right now. Let's put this on. All right. So today we're going to speak on the Pluto Retrograde. I probably should have spoke about this when it actually occurred. But I wanted to, give people some time to kind of get into it, get into the groove of it so that we can understand what's going on here. So if you see the last planet here, Pluto is currently in retrograde in the 11th house, but we ain't got to worry about the houses because the houses is dependent on location. So based on my location, it's in the 11th house, but where you are, it may be in the 9th house, it may be in the 10th house. So that's based on location. However, Pluto is in retrograde. Pluto went into retrograde on the 29th of last month. So that would have been the 29th of April. And Pluto will be in retrograde till October 8th, 2022. Right? So we got a long way to go in terms of dealing with this Pluto retrograde. By the time Pluto goes out of retrograde, we're going to have a bunch of other planets in retrograde. So it's just for now that Pluto, you see, is the only planet in retrograde. And you see Pluto is currently in Capricorn. And that is Vedic or Eastern. In Western, it is in what we call Aquarius. Maybe, actually, I think this is Western. This actually is Western. Let me verify this so I'm not giving any misinformation. I think this is Western. Give me a second. So let me clarify that. Let me move that out the way. So yes, I believe this is already in Western. But let me just double clarify. Yes. Okay, cool. Yeah, it is. It is. All right, so this is Western. So Vedic, it would be in Sagittarius. All right. So I just want to give everybody, some astrological background before we get into more technical things. Now, what is the relevance of a Pluto retrograde? And this is why I want to speak on global warming and climate change and all these things to tie everything into one cohesive idea instead of it being separate. So first and foremost, we really don't hear about global warming. We really that was before climate change. Before we even heard anything about climate change, they were talking about global warming. The planet is heated up. The planet is heating up. Well, that's Pluto. Pluto rules the inferno. So all that global warming, that was Pluto. Now it has switched to climate change, which is pretty much the same thing because there's, especially over here in the Western Hemisphere, they're speaking about droughts. Whether it's California, whether it's Nevada, we're speaking about droughts in Lake Mead, the Colorado River, like where we get our water, they say it's droughts. The water is receding. They're literally telling people to stop watering your grass. Basically, they're trying to reduce people from watering their grass to about once a week. So that's essentially, they say that's unprecedented. I keep seeing this word. The more and more news articles I read, I hear all this about this is unprecedented. This has never happened before. So it's all this new stuff that they don't even know where this shit is coming from. Which brings us into the other idea of, is this man-made or is this spiritual? Is it divine or is it demonic? Which direction are we going in here? Right? So we just want to conquer all of these things and see what conclusion we arrive at. And this is why I wanted to bring the astrological instead of giving you a bunch of, articles about it, which we can still dig into the articles, the mainstream, but we want to start with the astrology so that will give us an understanding of where all this information is coming from. So this is what we see. Pluto is in retrograde. They're literally finding bodies. I just read an article about they found a body in a barrel in Lake Mead. Because as the water continues to recede, they're finding bodies and all that. So, of course, dead bodies is Pluto, right? So Pluto is definitely in effect. Because I'm just reading articles that talking about dead bodies just popping up in rivers and all that back from the 70s. So that's how they say they're finding bodies that have been in that river since the 70s, and they're just now coming up and all. So it's all type of craziness going on. So that was like 50 years ago. So they're finding 50-year-old bodies. So all these things, it's not as mysterious as we think once we have the astrological alignments to back it up. And this is why Pluto is in Capricorn. And we know Capricorn is the devil card in the tarot. So whenever we're dealing with the energy of the devil, it's not necessarily in a religious sense. So let's not go in that direction. Because whenever we're dealing with the Capricorn, we're dealing with, you could say, the father energy. The father energy as in the sea goat. So again, most people refer to Capricorn as the goat, but it's really speaking about the sea goat, which fathers the children. The children are raised by the father with the sea goats instead of the mother. So it's like a reversal there, right? But let's take it a step further. Because we see Pluto is in the last 10 degrees of Capricorn. And it's currently moving backwards. So when Pluto is in the last 10, not Pluto, when Capricorn is within the last 10 degrees. What's up, Khalifa? When Pluto is in the last, not Pluto, when Capricorn is in the last 10 degrees, that takes us to the 4 of disc, or the 4 of pentacles, or the 4 of coins in the tarot card, in the tarot, which is co-ruled by the sun, right? It's co-ruled by the sun. So if we want to fully understand the way Capricorn is playing out, we must also consider the alignments of the sun, because the sun is a co-ruler of Capricorn in the last 10 degrees. So if we look at the sun here, we see sun is in 14 degrees Taurus. When Taurus is in 14 degrees, that means it is in the second decan. When Taurus is in the second decan, it is also co-ruled by the moon, right? So now we have 3 combinations here. Pluto takes us to the sun, then the sun takes us to the moon. And again, we don't have to necessarily worry about the house numbers because that's based on location. So now we have 3 planets to consider. So Pluto represents resurrection. Pluto represents death and resurrection. The sun then represents, you can say, new life. So Pluto takes us through the veils of death. The sun gives us new life. Then we are refined by the lunar currency. So the lunar currency refines us. The sun resurrects us. Then the Pluto takes us through the veils of death. So we have been in the Pluto retrograde for about 6 days now, so almost a week. So if you just look back at what has been going on for about the last week, you can tell, like, okay, things have been very different than the week before that, and the week before that, and the week before that. We have felt a darker energy. So if you have felt like a darker energy, that is because of the retrograde of Pluto. However, because Pluto takes us to the sun and the moon, when the sun is in Taurus, and we know Taurus takes us to the Hierophant. The Hierophant is the dispenser of the mysteries, meaning the Hierophant is the one who is dispensing the secrets of the universe, as we call the mysteries of the tarot, or the divine or dark feminine mysteries, if we want to be very technical about it. The more forbidden and mysterious elements of what we call spirituality, which most people don't even deal with at all. So that's the whole thing. Whenever we're dealing with Taurus, now we're speaking about dispensing the mysteries that most people don't want to deal with. Most people want to ignore, right? So we're dealing with an energy that most people don't even want to deal with, that they act like never even occurred, that we act like that never existed, that they want us pretty much to stay in these current times. Pluto takes us to, especially when Pluto is in retrograde, that's taking us back into the past, the dark past, not just the past for the sake, because when most people go back in the past, they're looking for the glory days. Whether you're looking at the glory days of Egypt, the glory days of Rome, Greece, so on and so forth, we be trying to look for all the positivity. No, we're talking about the secrets, what has been forgotten, what has been concealed. So Pluto was dealing with concealment. As we know, Pluto is about shielding yourself, because the mythology of Hades, remember Hades has the helmet which makes him invisible. So he can navigate the world without being detected. That's the whole premise of Pluto having the helmet of invisibility. That invisibility means concealment. What has been concealed. So whenever Pluto goes retrograde, once again, we're dealing with the revealing of what was once concealed, what was once forgotten, what was once forbidden. So that concealment is now being dispensed via Taurus through the Hierophant. The Hierophant is dispensing those mysteries that have been forbidden and that have been forgotten. And again, we know that that is mostly dealing with the dark feminine currency. Whether we want to call that currency Kali, we want to call it Lilith, or any of the dark goddesses, that's dealing with them. Especially over here in the West, we don't even deal with that. Again, I gave you little hints of Tantra in the last videos. Having sex on dead bodies and all that. Most people are their stomach is not they're not built. The most spiritual person ain't even built to do anything like that. And that's why I have to dispense these mysteries, because what we think is spirituality isn't even spirituality. So let's get that clear. What we think is spirituality isn't spirituality. What we see in the mainstream is bullshit. None of that has anything to do with the original potential of what it meant to, you can say, activate your kundalini. Everything has been like nice. Well, if you ever read something about spirituality that's dealing with being nice, it's bullshit. We're not becoming enlightened to become nicer people. That is not the goal of enlightenment. That is not the goal of nirvana. That is not the goal of becoming your true self. Somehow you become this nice angelic person. That's false. That's a falsehood, which takes us to the mysteries of the moon, because the moon is currently in not Taurus. The moon is in Capricorn. I'm all over the place. The moon is in Cancer, 5 degrees Cancer. And we know the moon rules over Cancer. So the moon is in a very powerful position. That's why you say the dignity is a ruler. So if you look at the moon, 5 degrees Cancer, 4th house, it is the ruler. So the moon is in a very powerful position. Whenever we're dealing with the energy of Cancer, that takes us to the Chariot card. Whenever we're dealing with the Chariot, that's dealing with the Merkabah, the mysteries of the Merkabah. The Merkabah represents, you can say, your astral vehicle. Your astral vehicle is what you use to travel through the planes or the worlds of the Kabbalah, right? The 4 worlds of the Kabbalah. You cannot take your physical body to certain chambers. This is why we have to build our energetic body, or our energy body, whatever you want to call it, right? This is the purpose of building our energy body, so that we can transverse the multiple worlds. We're not limited to the physical plane of Asia. We have 3 other planes: Yetzirah, Bira, and Atsaluf. Those worlds cannot be reached with your physical body. So the moon, representing refinement, wants to refine. What is being refined by the moon? The Merkabah. But in order to access the Merkabah, you must deal with the forbidden mysteries. That's the whole purpose. So I just want to help people to understand that what we think we're doing is not really the goal. It's not really the purpose. We're not here to help the fucking world. The world is if you understand Gnosticism, if you understand the demiurge, if you understand that the world is here to master its flaws, that means we're not looking for a savior. We're not here to save anybody. We're not here to save the world. People still have this ideology that they're here to save the world. Like the world will not stump your ass out. Let's just be real about this shit. The world will stump your ass. You think you're a savior? The world will let you know that you're not. Let's just be honest about this. We don't need to lie and bullshit each other. The world will stump your ass out and let you know exactly your position, which is what the world is supposed to do. To let your ass know what your position is, what purpose you actually serve. You're not a savior. The only thing we can save is ourselves. We can save ourselves. But to think that we're going to bring other people with us, if they do come with us, it's because they decided to. It's not because we saved them. And again, this goes into the dark mysteries of the feminine. Because if we deal with Lilith, we understand that Lilith got the fuck away from Adam. She said, fuck this, fuck the Garden of Eden. I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to become the queen of the demons. I'm going to become the queen of the jinn. That's the whole purpose. She said, fuck all this worldly shit. I'm going into the underworld, and I'm going to make my home there. And that's dealing with the dark feminine mysteries. Whether it's Lilith, whether it's Kali. Kali, you see, is cutting off heads. Like, oh, you want to be masculine with Kali? She's going to cut your head off, and you're going to be like everybody else who tried to out-masculine Kali. Especially when we deal with the Lema. The Lema speaks about the Scarlet Woman. The Scarlet Woman is like, yo, you're supposed to be dominating in this world. If you read the book of the law, you know exactly what I'm speaking about. When it speaks about the Scarlet Woman, it doesn't speak about a woman who's graceful, a woman that's nice, a woman that's, in paradise. The Scarlet Woman is equivalent to Kali and Lilith. Like, fuck the bullshit. But you see, that has to be, it takes time to understand that, because ain't nobody else speaking about that. Everybody else is talking about this love and light shit. And if they're not speaking about the love and light, they're still they're not directing you in the proper path at all. It's not balanced. Because the same way we're speaking about the dark feminine mysteries, You rarely, if ever, hear about the dark masculine mysteries. Right? People don't even know what the fuck that is. Like, so we understand Lilith, we understand Kali, we've heard that over and over again. But how many people are speaking about the dark masculine, which is the mysteries of Pluto? Right? I guarantee you're gonna have a hard time finding that information. You're gonna have a very hard time because people don't want. That's what I'm saying. People don't want to deal with that shit. So they have a hard enough time. This is what I'm saying. I just do my best to keep things pure. I don't need to add anything to spirituality. It's already complete. I don't need to add my 2 cents. I just reveal what's already there. The ancestors knew what the fuck they were doing already. I don't need to add in anything. All I do is help people to understand what has already occurred and what will occur. Everything has already been revealed. I'm not going to reveal anything that hasn't already been understood or known by the ancestors, by the ancients. They've already revealed everything. We just have to seek to understand what they were speaking about. That's why when we read a Bible or a Quran or a Torah, everything is already there. But it's up to the interpreter to find it. So everybody knows about Lilith, everybody knows about Kali. But again, like I said, the dark masculine mysteries, who the fuck is talking about that? Exactly, dark masculinity is almost unheard of, and it's for a reason. It's for a reason. Because motherfuckers don't want to be balanced. I'm just going to keep it real. Motherfuckers are just fine speaking about the dark feminine. Because women feel like they have been suppressed already. Women feel like they need to get back on men and all that shit. So women already feel a certain type of way because of the history. I'm not going to dispute that. Women have been suppressed all over this planet. I perfectly understand that. So they're in revenge mode for the most part. So they don't give a fuck. They'll wipe all of our ass out just to dominate the world. Because that's just how they feel. And I get it. If you've been crushed and suppressed for so long and now you get to get your power up, I understand you ain't trying to spare nobody. That's the energy of Kali. Cutting off the heads. So I perfectly understand that. But that's not balanced. That's why you see Shiva. The only one that can stop Kali is Shiva. That's why you see Shiva on the bottom of Kali. He's the only one that can tame her. Kali has a bloodthirst. Kali was born out of war. So all she knows is war and bloodshed, to the point where after she was created, she kept, basically after her goal was served, Kali was created to destroy a particular enemy. Once that particular enemy was destroyed, she still had the bloodthirst. So she was killing gods, demons, devils. She was killing everything. She didn't give a fuck. The only thing that was able to stop Kali was Shiva. That's it. Everybody else was getting their fucking head cut off. That's why you see Shiva had to surrender to Kali. He wasn't trying to out masculine her like, oh, I'm not about to dominate Kali. I'm gonna get my head cut off. So he surrendered to Kali. And that was the only way that she was able to be tamed. But you see, even when we learn about Shiva, we're not learning the full story of Shiva. We're not. Because the eye of Shiva, which is present in the tarot, like if you look at the Tower card, and I'm speaking about the Thoth deck, if you look at the Tower card, that is the eye of Shiva. Shiva is known as a destroyer. Remember, there's 3, you can say, gods of Hinduism. You have Shiva, you have Brahma, and you have Vishnu. Shiva, Brahma, Vishnu. Right? You got the creator, the preserver, and the destroyer. The destroyer is Shiva. So Shiva is known as the destroyer. That's why the eye of Shiva is on the Tower card, which represents destruction, which deals with the dark masculine mysteries, which we don't hear nothing about, right? So, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why black women, again, they don't give a fuck about, sparing your ass at all. They don't. And again, I understand. I don't blame them. It is what it is. The only thing that's going to balance that is the dark masculine. So that's why I'm saying you ain't about to get one up on them. It's like all women are just fed up with men for the most part. I perfectly understand. So that's why I'm here here's the balance. If you don't want to get your head cut off in the midst of these women doing what they do, because they're going to do what they do and ain't nowhere to stop them. So what do you do as a man? You already know what they're doing. That's why you got to go into the dark masculine. That's what the Pluto Retrograde is about. So I just wanted to give the astrological findings so that we can understand where we are. So all the way up till October. So we got May, June, July, August, September, and October. So about 5 months. So we got quite some time to go through these darker chambers. So let me show you. As the energy progresses, we're going to see how the planets are going retrograde, how they go in and out of retrograde. So let me advance the actual astrology here so that we can see what's going on. So I'm going to advance it a month. There we go. So now we're in June. We still see Pluto is the only planet retrograde. July. But you see, once we get into July, now Neptune goes retrograde and Saturn then goes retrograde. So 2 months in, now Neptune and Saturn goes retrograde. And we understand that trident, Neptune has a trident. What deity represents a trident? Shiva. Shiva has the trident. That's one of the weapons of Shiva. So you see now, so once we get into July, now you basically are equipped with your weapon. So if you're exploring the dark masculine mysteries, and again, it's not for just men, just like a man can explore the dark feminine, women can explore the dark masculine as well. So this isn't about gender. Both genders can explore both energies. That's why we are androgynous, right? So I'm just giving a balanced understanding of this. So we become equipped with our weapon, with our trident, 2 months in. Then Saturn goes retrograde, and we understand Saturn represents the sickle, because Saturn, or Kronos, the weapon of Saturn or Kronos, is the sickle. And we know the sickle is associated with the angel of death. So we are equipped with the trident, but also the sickle. So the sickle allows us to cut away at what is no longer needed. Saturn also represents the root chakra, which is our killer instinct. So not only are you equipped with the trident, it will rise up your killer instinct. So expect in June, your killer instinct will be more dominant. Because that is the goal of mastering your root chakra. You must master your killer instinct. Meaning, this world tries to breed that out of us. This world just wants to take, especially when, in the civilized, as they call the civilized world, so the first worlds. You could, if you live in a third world country, then you must activate your killer instinct to even survive. But here, not necessarily, because, we have government programs. You have all type of support. You got food stamps. You don't have to necessarily activate your killer instinct, because you can pretty much survive. It is what it is, right? So they breed that out of us. But those who can stimulate that, they will be at an advantage. Especially, you see, Saturn is in the 10th house, which represents the world stage, and Saturn is in Aquarius, which represents cyberspace. Accessing the world stage via cyberspace. So once you are equipped with your trident, the Shiva's trident, then you are using this to access the world stage and utilizing cyberspace, or cyber magic if we want to be technical. Cyber magic. Utilizing cyber magic to access the world stage. Let's see what happens next. Once we get into August, now we see Jupiter becomes retrograde. And we understand Jupiter as the sky god, or as we call Zeus. And Zeus represents the thunderbolts. Whenever we're dealing with Zeus, we're dealing with the thunderbolts, which takes us right back to the Tower card. And we know Jupiter represents the Wheel of Fortune in the tarot card, which is activated by our own divine will. So now we take a spin on the Wheel of Fortune, which takes us to the mysteries of high magic, which is, again, theurgy, astrology, and alchemy. Jupiter is in Aries, the Ram, 10th house, which is also the world stage. So Jupiter wants to access the world stage via Aries. Aries takes us to the Emperor card. The Emperor is all about self-image, about being able to manipulate your environment. Because Aries is your personality, your outer appearance, but it also represents how you deal with your reality. So Jupiter is directly affecting your environment. Your immediate environment, especially the world stage, will be affected via Jupiter, aka the Wheel of Fortune. Jupiter, again, if we take it to the Hebrew, Jupiter is Kaf, which represents the palm. palm reading. So to see what position you serve on the world stage, you must look into your own palm. You must activate divination of the palm in August. So study your palms in August so that you see what's really going on here. Like, where do I fit? Because everything is already written on the palm. The lines are not permanent. The lines are always changing, especially with both hands. So the lines are always changing, but it lets you know exactly where you should be, because this represents our destiny or our fate. Jupiter represents your destiny or your fate. It's already written. Your destiny or your fate is already written on your palms. So you may not be an astrologer. You may not be a numerologist. You may not be a tarot reader. You may not, be a runic reader. But you can read your own goddamn palms to see, okay, well, what's going on here with me? And how do I access this energy? What would be the best route for me to take? You got just look at your own palms. Which takes us to September. What happens in September? Now Uranus becomes retrograde. So you see, as we gradually go through these months, more and more planets start moving backwards. So you see, we're dealing with a lot of backwards moving energy, taking us to the beginnings, taking us to, again, the mysteries of the dark feminine and the dark masculine. All right? So when Uranus goes retrograde, Uranus will also be in Taurus. So Uranus, as we know, represents, you can say, all things occult, the occult language. To be able to speak and communicate, because Uranus is the air, to communicate occultly. And again, Taurus takes us to the Hierophant, as we know, who is a dispenser of the dark masculine or the dark feminine mysteries. So now it takes us to Uranus. Uranus is the strange planet outside the borders of Saturn. We can only see the inner planets from the sun to Saturn. Once you go to Uranus, Uranus is not visible with the naked eye. You cannot see Uranus with the naked eye, right? So now we're going beyond the physical plane, because when we start going into the mysteries of Uranus, that's why it takes us to the internet. It takes us to technology. Uranus represents technology. It's also in the 11th house of community. In this case, it is the cyber community, right? So we're utilizing technology to dispense the mysteries. Technology, electricity, all these things are the attribute of Uranus. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 planets in retrograde. So when we reach the energy of September, or the month of September, now we have 5, or actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 planets in retrograde at that time. Then, lastly, when we get to the energy of October, we have these same planets in retrograde. The only difference is the houses that they will be in. So at the peak, we're going to have a 5-planet retrograde as we progress through these months. Right? Okay. So I just wanted to give y'all the path that we're going down here, so that we have a great understanding, so that we are not left in confusion. So go more into June. Let's see. Okay, sure. We'll go back to June here. Asura are an example of the dark divine masculinity. Yes, because the Asura represents, the demonic deities, right? Especially in Hinduism. So the Asura definitely represents the more, you can say, reverse energies. These are the demons. So you can definitely say that's an example of the dark masculine, because you have both, right? So you have like the Asuras. So yes, again, you can say it's depending on what you know, because everybody knows. It depends on what perspective you come from, because everybody will be coming from different perspectives. You will have some people coming from the Hindu perspective, some people coming from the American perspective. It all depends on what you know, what you resonate with. Because there's a devil in every pantheon. There's a so-called God in every pantheon. There's a dark feminine in every pantheon. Like if you go to the Greek mythology, that's Eris. The goddess of discord is Eris, right? So any pantheon has these energies. It's for you to pick and choose which one you resonate with, right? Can we harness it through the energies of Ishu, Shiva? Definitely. So that's why I'm saying it all depends on what you resonate with. So if you resonate with Ishu, go for it. If you resonate with Shiva, go for it. If you resonate with the Asuras, go for it, right? what exactly is the dark masculine? See, this is, that's why I have to be here to explain this, right? That's why I'm really ashamed of these fucking teachers. That's why I'd be cutting off heads. I'm like, we should know this shit already. But everybody want to be, they want to be selective about what they reveal. This should be common knowledge, but it's not. Because, you got all these people that want to be gatekeepers. That's what's going on. You got a lot of gatekeepers who want to conceal certain things and who want to misguide and misdirect people. So that's why we're like, oh, what the fuck are you talking about here? Like, yeah, we always talking about the dark feminine, but like, okay, the dark masculine, we don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So that just lets you know right there how imbalanced these motherfuckers are. Let's just be real about this shit. This just lets you know right here that we have all this information about the dark feminine, but when we deal with the dark masculine, we're left at, oh, what are you talking about here? It shouldn't be that way. So somebody got to bring the fucking balance here so that we understand what's going on. It's not for one energy to dominate the other. I'm not saying tap into the dark masculine to dominate the feminine. It's just to become balanced. That's all. So that both energies are stabilized. Because if it's just all about the feminine, yeah, you're going to get wiped the fuck out. If it's all about the masculine, you're going to get wiped the fuck out. The only way to keep the balance is you need both sides. You would think this is common fucking sense or common knowledge, but it's not. It's a reason for that, though, because people are selective about what they want to reveal. But this is why I got to go into deep studies to reveal this shit. So that's why every day I got to go into studies. Then I have to reveal it. I wouldn't know about this shit either if I didn't study. If I would just watch another motherfuckers on YouTube, I wouldn't know about this shit either. I got to go to the scholarship. I got to do the work that nobody else is willing to do so I can reveal it. Right? That's the only way the only way I even know is because I had to do the scholarship. I had to do the literature. I have to read the literature. Page after page after page, days after days after days after days. And that's why I'm like, oh shit, I didn't know that. Oh shit, I didn't know that. Oh, I'm like, damn, dude, ain't nobody even talking about that shit. So, but now we can understand, how do you bring balance to this? Again, we already know, like, the women are fucking mad. We already know this. They're upset. They don't give a fuck. They ain't trying to hear shit. We already know that. But nobody's speaking about, well, how do you bring balance to that? You can't be more masculine with the dark feminine. That's not going to work. You can only match the darkness with the darkness. We can't be gods, and we're again, it's not a us against them. That's how people try to paint it. So I saw all these channels on YouTube about, black men speaking about black women speaking about black men. We're just always at war. We're just always at war. And I'm like, I'm sick of that shit, because it doesn't need to be that way. It does not need to be that way. If we are equipped with proper knowledge, it don't have to be that way. We don't have to be at war with each other in our own households, with our own neighbors, with our own community. We don't have to be at war with each other. It was like we're just so quick to be at war with each other because we already feel like we're getting the bottom of the barrel. We already feel like we've been suppressed. So everybody's just so aggressive with each other, especially during the Pluto retrograde. So the Pluto retrograde is going to bring a lot more aggressiveness out of people, especially women. You're going to see a lot more aggression. But if you remember, like, okay, I must be Shiva. Kali will manifest. Kali is going to be cutting off heads. It ain't for me to cut off heads or try to cut off her head. I need to be Shiva. That's the balance. I mean, let the woman be aggressive. The woman is supposed to be the warrior. That's the Scarlet Woman. The Scarlet Woman is supposed to be the warrior. Let women be warriors. The men, like, okay, I need to fall back. The Hierophant is ruling from the throne. You have to rule from the throne. Let the women be active, because this is another thing. The feminine energy is the active energy. If we want to be real, the active principle is the feminine principle. The masculine principle is the passive. It's reversed. Anybody telling you that the masculine principle is active, that's not true. That's not true. That's why we see Kali and Shiva. Kali is active. Shiva is passive. That's how it actually is. So anybody telling you, well, the masculine is dominant and active, that's not true at all. Not at all. So if we properly play our roles, we can receive the balance. Like, okay, if I'm dealing with the dark masculine, I must be the Shiva. Allow Kali to dominate. Let Kali do what she do. Let me slow my ass down and get into a meditative state, and let me be the Shiva. Let me reach my nirvana. Right? Let me reach my stillness so that I can calm her down. The only way to calm Callie down is to reach your nirvana, to reach your stillness. You ain't about to hype her ass up and get more hype than Callie. It's not going to happen. You're not going to get more hype than Callie. The only thing you can do is slow that ass down so you can slow her down. The only way to calm her down is for you to slow your ass down. It can't be two active principles. Right? Exactly. You had the Devas and the Devi. Right? You had the Deva, D-E-V-A, then the Devi. See, the Devi is the feminine. D-E-V-I, that's the feminine. The Diva is the masculine. So you see how it's reversed? Because when we think about the word diva, we think about women. Okay, women are divas. But divas are that's the masculine, actually. That's why you see how it's reversed. The divas are the masculine. The DV is the feminine. Right? So you see how they try to reverse this shit, the law of reversal. So you see why people just all over the fucking place, because you see how they reverse that shit. I wouldn't know if I didn't do the studies either. Right? It's the pimp hoe archetype. You funny. But you're right though. I'm not gonna say you're wrong about that, Dink. You're right about that. When it comes to the pimpology, it's like, yo, you gotta be passive. Let the women be active. Let the women dominate the streets. Let the women dominate. Let the women get the money. Like, yo, let them rule this world. It doesn't make you less. It doesn't make you weaker. It's like, yo, somebody got to keep this shit smooth, though. That's why you have hoes and renegade hoes, right? We done already did that science, right? Years ago. You got the hoes, you got the renegade. The renegades don't want pimps. They're like, I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want to do. I'm about to come dominate. But the reason that a woman will have a pimp is to keep the balance. Let me give you an example. I mean, if you're a renegade hoe and you're just going to come to a block and you're just going to do whatever the fuck you want, you don't know the rules and regulations of that block to the point where you may, like, the pimps may have a deal with the cops where, like, okay, you can use this street, but keep that shit on the low. Because most of the time, this is how this shit works anyway. You don't think the government allows this shit to happen? You think people are doing something that the government don't know? You don't think motherfuckers know? They just want their cut. Let's just be honest about that. Like, yo, okay, you gonna make money. We just want our little cut. We'll let you do it. But keep that shit on the low. Don't bring that shit around children. Don't bring that shit around where it's gonna be crazy. So a renegade hoe doesn't know about any of that. So she gonna come and start fucking shit up. That's why they run off renegade hoes. So the real hoes run off the renegade hoes because the renegade hoes don't know the rules and regulations as to how this situation is working here. So that's the reason why they become a problem. They're like, yo, we have to follow these rules and regulations to be successful. And anybody, you got to follow rules and regulations to be successful. So if you come in doing whatever the fuck you want, all you're gonna do is fuck up the whole situation for everybody. So that's how it goes. So even though, you know, you can say the pimp is in the background, he's actually the one making the deals with the government. He's the one making the deals with the other pimps so that there is no friction. That's how it's supposed to go. So somebody has to communicate with, you can say, the masculine principle, whether it's the government, whether it's other pimps. Somebody got to be that mouthpiece. That's why pimps represent the mouth. Somebody has to be the mouthpiece. So while the woman is with the sword, cutting off heads, making the money, doing, somebody got to be that mouthpiece so that shit don't go out of order. Somebody got to be the mouthpiece. Somebody got to be, you can say, the middle man or the middle woman. Somebody got to be in the middle, making sure everything happens smoothly. Which is why you see Shiva recedes. Like, yo, okay. Either I'm going to try to dominate Callie and get my head cut off, or I'm going to allow her to be her, which soothes her. If we understand what that means, in order to soothe Callie, you must allow her to be her. But you have to soothe it. Like, okay, you come with ease. Right? You got to, as they say, with the sweet talk, the sweet Mac, right? All this stuff. Right? You got to be smooth with it. So the dark masculine is being smooth, because you can say the regular masculine is about being the warrior, about being dominant, about being active. That's what we know as the masculine. Okay, the masculine is about, you know, being a leader, right? You know, being the head of the household, being all, you know, we already know these principles. So if we're talking about the dark masculine, it's about being the opposite of that. And right, again, that goes into the pimpology and all that. So yes, that's where that shit comes from. So all this is, yes, the dark feminine and the dark masculine. This is why these principles keep coming up. Again, whatever title or whatever name we want to throw at it, This is what this represents. So during this Pluto retrograde, we have to take into account these things that no one else wants to deal with because we feel like it's too, I don't want to call it weird because it's not. This is actually how you bring balance. So the fact that it's not more people speaking about this, or if they are speaking about it, is again, it's like the energy ain't right. The energy ain't right. Because again, these people are all over the internet. I can't even watch this shit. You know what I mean? I can't watch women, speak bad about men or men speak bad about women. I can't even watch that content because it's not coming from a pure place. It's not coming from somebody who's looking for solutions. We're not going to be able to find solutions if we're just at each other's necks. It's not going to happen. So that's my whole thing. If we're seeking solutions, if we want to be balanced, then we must understand the dark feminine and the dark masculine, especially during this Pluto retrograde. And you see it's going to be more and more planets that come into the fold. All right? So we at 45 minutes. I think y'all get the point. So let me see. So let me just show y'all. Let's see. Here's a better question. Where do we find balance between Shiva and Kali? And what is gained from the cost of surrender? So, if you become the Shiva and you surrender to Kali or surrender to the dark feminine, what Kali does is reveal to you the position you play in all this. What do I mean? You're not going to truly understand the dark masculine unless you surrender to the dark feminine. Meaning, let's just go back to the story of Adam and Lilith. Not Adam and Eve, Adam and Lilith. So this is why I say we see this. This has been going on forever. This is also going into the serpent. Right? So let me put all this into context. Adam was not willing to surrender to Lilith. He was unwilling to surrender to Lilith. And you see what happened, right? Eventually, Adam and Eve got their ass kicked out of the Garden of Eden. Right? As they say, eating the forbidden fruit, yada, 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 right? But you see, they got their ass kicked out. And now we got to deal with the bullshit, right? Because that's what they say, the origin of sin, the original sin, right? The original sin. However, would there have been an original sin if Adam would have surrendered to Lilith? Would there be an original sin? No, it wouldn't. See, people ain't even thinking about that shit. The original sin is because Adam refused to surrender to Lilith. And you see the results of that. And again, it's all metaphorical. But this is what the story is this is the principle that it's trying to convey. Because once Lilith became the queen of the underworld, or the queen of the jinn, or the queen of the demons, because Lilith was not able to have children. She can only have, you could say, spiritual babies or demon babies, as they call moon children. The children of Lilith are called moon children, or the moon child, charged with the lunar currency. Because the dark masculine, as we call the vampires and the incubus, that's really what we're talking about here. We're talking about the vampire energy and the incubus. What do I mean? Let's just go to the story